Hello again. So we're still in chapter 1, gross income, and now we're on lesson 1.3, which is weekly time cards. So this is something that you may or may not become familiar with as you start to work. It kind of depends on where you work there, whether or not you'll do time cards. I've had jobs where I've had to clock in every day and clock out, and then I've had jobs that or more careers as I move forward that I don't have to do that clocking in and out. A lot of the time, it's not a time card you have to clock in and out of anymore, where you have to put it in and go and get your time on there. Usually it's something that you log in and you log out on a computer. I've also had to do that kind of thing. So it just kind of depends. Again, you should be reading the sections and paying attention to the examples they give you. Pay attention to the formulas they give you in the chapter. Don't just jump straight to the worksheets. You need to make sure you're doing the chapter work also, so that or at least reading through the chapter work. We don't really assign a lot of those problems. We use the worksheets, but you need to make sure you're using the book to understand what to do. All right, so they always give you a little explanation here. And then here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I don't know why it keeps resizing the pen that I'm using here. There we go. So they give you a little summary here. They usually give you at least a formula. Remember, it's not always all the formulas. We need to pay attention to that when we're working through this. We may need something from the book there. And then they'll give us, of course, instructions here. So first, let's read our summary. When you work for a business that pays on an hourly basis, you are usually required to keep a time card. The time card shows the time you reported for work and the time you departed each day. So then they give us this formula: total hours equals the sum of hours daily. So, you just add them all up for all your hours every day. So then it says, compute the hours worked for each day on the time card. Round each half of the day to the nearest quarter hour. What are the total hours for the week? What is the total pay for the week? So round each half of the day to the nearest quarter hour. I have had students miss this before because they didn't read this little 2-sentence instruction here. They just started calculating. So make sure you're reading the directions, super important, so that you know what to do, because you might get the total hours worked, but it's not rounded correctly, so you won't get the correct answer. So pay attention to that one. Most places do not give you your exact time. They do this some kind of rounding, where they're rounding to the nearest quarter hour. So it's very, very common. So if we look at this one, we have 7 to 11. So, and I'm going to write this off to the side here, or I'm going to write it right here in the middle. So that's 4 hours. So there's 4 hours between 7 and 11. And then between 11:30 and 4:45, we have 5 hours and 15 minutes. All right. So we simply just add these together to figure out the total pay. And I'm putting it like this for just a moment so you can see it's 5 hours and 15 minutes. It's not 5:15. I was just leaving it as hours and minutes for a minute. These are rounded to the quarter hour. So by quarter hour, it means on the hour. So 4 hours, or 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So quarter hours. So we simply add these together and we get 9 hours and 15 minutes. But in order to actually calculate this out and put it in here, we want to know the decimal. So you're just going to take the 15 minutes and divide by 60. And that's going to give us 0.25. So we'll write 9 hours, sorry, not 7 hours, looking at the wrong column here. 9 hours and 25.25. So it's 9.25 hours. We've converted the whole thing to hours instead of saying 9 hours and 15 minutes. At the end, you take your minutes and divide by 60 to find your decimal. So looking at the next one so that you can see what I mean by rounded. I'm not going to work out the whole problem for you because there's only a couple problems on this page, honestly. So we have 8:10 to 11:35. So this would be 3 hours and 25 minutes. That's how much time is between here. And then between 12:30 and 4:35 would be 4 hours and 35 minutes. Sorry, I know that's a little sloppy writing it in there, but so I can write it off to the side. So we had 3 hours and 25 minutes and then we had 4 hours and 35 minutes. So this was the first half of the day, second half of the day. So make sure when you come over here, because we have to round each half of the day to the nearest quarter hour. Well, 325, it needs to either be down to 15 or up to 30 for the minutes. So when we write this on this side, when we're adding, we want to change it to 3 hours and 30 minutes. We're actually giving them 5 extra minutes there. We're rounding it up. Sometimes that happens. Plus 4 hours and 35 minutes. We're going to take that 5 minutes. We're going to round it down to 30. So 4 hours and 30 minutes. So we had to round both of these, because remember, quarter hour, we're looking for either 0 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or 45 minutes. So the hours over here don't necessarily matter. We're not rounding that. We're just rounding the minutes. We need to round to the quarter hour, so it needs to be one of these. So whichever it's closest to, always go to the closest one. So when we add this together, we get 7 and 60, right? Because 30 plus 30 gives us 60. Well, 60 minutes is an hour, so this is really just 8 hours. So we can just write 8 in there. Oh, I'm sorry. See, here I am writing things wrong. This wasn't 35. This was 05. This was just 5 minutes. Silly me. I looked at the paper too quickly there. I was wondering. I got the wrong answer on that one. So when that happens, we just go back and we fix it. All right. So this was supposed to be 05 here, because there's 4 hours and 5 minutes in between 12:30 and 4:35. I should have been paying attention there. So we wouldn't round it to 4:30. We're giving that person an extra 25 minutes. We would round it down to 4 o'clock. So this is 7 hours and 30 minutes. So same thing, make sure you divide by 60 so that you know your decimal here. 30 divided by 60 is going to be 7.5. So you should only have one of 4 decimals. So if it's 0, then it should be a number 0.0. If it's 15, it should be 0.25. If it's 30, it should be 0.50. If it's 45, it should be 0.75. And then if we go to 60 minutes, that's a full hour. So this actually might help too. You don't have to do this little calculation each time. If you have 15 minutes, it's 0.25. If you have 30 minutes, it's 0.50. So if you know that already, makes it a little faster. I'm sorry, this is a 0 here. So, and if you think about it's quarter hours, and you can think of quarters in a dollar, same thing, 25, 50, 75. Same idea. Sometimes connecting money to this does help. So you're going to go through and you're going to do this for each one. Make sure you're paying attention and calculating the time correctly. You might have to, go for this next one, it's 8:10 to 12. So I have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 4 hours, but I was there 10 minutes late. So I don't get my full 4 hours. I get 3 hours and 50 minutes, like that. So 3 hours and 50 minutes. And that's going to round down to 3 hours and 45 minutes. So I was 10 minutes late, or maybe that's when I clock in. I'm not sure. But it'll round down, so I lose another 5 minutes there when I do that. So just paying attention to the timing there. So make sure you go through and you fill this out for all of the rest of these. And then you add these straight down, and that'll give you your total hours. So just once you have these columns filled in, you add it straight down. To get your total payment for the week, you just take your rate, which is down here at the bottom of the card, and you multiply by your total hours, and that'll tell you what your total pay was for the week. All right. So I'm definitely going to let you guys finish that one off so that you can calculate the time card. You're going to do the exact same thing on the next time card, so nothing too crazy there. I wanted to take a look at this algebra one real quick. So again, the algebra ones doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be super hard, but they want you to think about it. They've given you some information. Now they want to see if you can apply this information. So Michael O'Hare earns $14.74 4 per hour as a carpenter, so we know how much he earns per hour. From Monday through Friday, he starts at 8 a.m. and he takes a half-hour break every day. So we need to keep in mind that there's 30 minutes that we need to subtract from each day because he takes that lunch break. If he ends the work at 4 o'clock Monday through Thursday, how late must he work on Friday? So we need to know how late on Friday. So we need to know when should he stop working on Friday. If he wants a total pay of $5.74.86. So we know total pay equals rate times hours, right? We're talking about that up here. You take your rate and you multiply by your total hours. So we need to know what to plug in here. We have part of it. Monday through Thursday, we can figure out what his pay was. So if I take this, and I'll just write it over here, Monday through Thursday, he works 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So we know he works this long. Well, that's 8 hours, right? That equals 8 hours. But I have to take away 30 minutes because of his lunch. So make sure you pay attention to that. You need to take 30 minutes away. So he really gets paid for 7 hours and 30 minutes, which remember, we need a decimal. That's 7.5 hours each day. So Monday through Thursday, he works 7.5 hours. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I take 7.5 and I multiply by 4. This is going to tell me so far how many hours he has. So right now he has 30 hours. All right, and that's just from the information they've given us up here. I know he's worked 30 hours already this week. We need to know how many more hours he has to work on Friday so that he can get this total pay. So if we know the total pay he wants is $574.86, and we want to subtract what he already has, what he's already made. So we need to figure out what he's already made because we need to know what he's already made to know how much is left for just Friday, right? So 30 hours times his pay rate, which is $14.74, right, equals he's already made $442.20 this week. So that's how much he made Monday through Thursday. So we're going to subtract that real quick. There are other ways to do this one where you can write out kind of a full equation. I'm doing it a little bit more in pieces. So hopefully that's not super confusing here. I calculated his total hours for Monday through Thursday. Now I'm calculating his pay Monday through Thursday, and I'm subtracting that from what he wants to make for the whole week. So, and I'm going to put this down here so I don't run into that one here. So when we subtract here, he wants to make $132.66 on Friday. That's how much he needs to make in order to get this target here, this goal. Well, we know how much he makes per hour, don't we? So we can take this Friday goal and divide by how much he makes per hour. That'll tell us how many hours he has to work in the day. So remember, total equals rate times H, and we can manipulate this how we want. If we know our total and we know our rate, I can simply divide by the rate, and that'll leave the hours behind. I'll know how many hours there are. So when we divide 132.66 by 14.74, we get 5 hours. No, I'm sorry, 9 hours. I'm writing the wrong part here. 9 hours. So we get 9 hours. He needs to work total 9 hours. He normally works 7.5 hours and he leaves at 4. So if he needs 9 hours, that's an extra hour and a half from how much time he works. And I'm not including his lunch break because he doesn't get paid for his lunch break. So if he leaves at 4 normally and he needs another hour and a half, well, that tells me he needs to stay until 5:30 p.m. So he needs to just stay an extra hour and a half in order to hit this target this week. All right, I hope that helped, and I will see you next time.